Hello, I'm Ariana Bastis, and I'm here today to discuss how Clara Bow positively advanced women's liberation in the 1920s. So to start off with her childhood, Clara Bow was born on July 29, 1905 in Brooklyn, New York. She was the only one of her three siblings to survive into adolescence. Bow lived in extreme poverty in a home referred to as a slum. She spoke about how her father was unemployed and left for a while when she was born, while her mother was a part-time prostitute who suffered from mental disorders including schizophrenia. When Bow was a teenager, her mother fell from a 2-story building and suffered a serious head injury, later being diagnosed with psychosis due to epilepsy. During her teenage years, Bow had to take care of her mother because of her mother's injury. Bow stated, "As a kid, I took care of my mother. She didn't take care of me." Bow's mother was not in the correct mental state, telling Clara things like she would be much better off dead. One night in February 1922, she woke to her mother holding a butcher knife against her throat, cursing her for entering the film industry. Luckily, Bow was able to fend off the attack, and soon after, her mother was taken away and put into an asylum. Bow was then raised alone by her extremely abusive father. And I also found out through research that her father apparently sexually abused her at the age of 15 or 16 also. When asked about her childhood, Clara Bow claims, "No one wanted me in the first place. Often I was lonesome, frightened, and miserable. I never had a doll in my life. I never had any clothes and lots of times didn't have anything to eat. We just lived and that about all. Girls shunned me because I was so poorly dressed, the worst looking kid on the street. I decided that girls weren't any good, and being lonely and needing child friends, cast my lot with the neighborhood boys. I became a regular tomboy, played baseball, football, and learned to box. To escape the horror of her life, Bow enjoyed watching movies, sitting in a dark room away from her fighting parents and poor living situation." And here's some evidence, some photographs of the first one being Clara as a 1-year-old. And I also found out through research that she didn't even have a birth certificate. Her parents didn't even write her one because they didn't think she was going to survive. They didn't think any of them would survive because there was supposed to be a heat wave coming through, and they thought it was going to wipe them all out. So basically, she didn't have any birth record. And the only reason she survived, she said, was because of her grandmother. It was like a miracle that she survived. And then the second picture is her house, and that was her house in the 1920s. You could see that it's very run down, and multiple people lived in it too. They all shared a bathroom. It was many, many families, crowded in the worst part of Brooklyn. And then here it is today. So a little bit refurnished, but that's like a modern day kind of look of her house. So to move on to her acting career. Bow's main dream was to be an actress, yet she had no encouragement from her family. Her mother told her that actresses went straight to hell, so Bow practiced in secret. When she was 16, she entered a Fame and Fortune photo beauty contest and won. This fueled her career. Not long after winning the contest, Bow began getting involved in film productions. Bow's first film she appeared in was called Beyond the Rainbow. She was taken to Hollywood by producer B.P. Schoolberg, who used Clara sexually and financially. He worked her like a horse and paid her very little compared to other stars of the day. Bow starred in many more films in the 20s, but the one that made her famous was called It. It is a 1927 silent romantic comedy film that tells the story of a shopgirl who sets her sights on a handsome and wealthy boss of the department store where she works. The film's moral is to show how people of different social classes can fall in love. In her acting career, from 1922 through 1933, Clara Bow appeared in a total of 57 films before retiring at the age of 28. And some more info on the beauty contest that she won. She did it secretly, and her father actually supported her and tried to help her. He gave her 50 cents to go take a photo of herself to use in this contest. And fun fact is when she went there, all the other girls were dressed so pretty, and they just stared at her and were kind of like, "What are you doing here?" and made fun of her. And turns out she blew them out of the water, and just her personality just showed through, and it just proves that looks don't win everything. And here is a little clip of the film It Girl that made her famous. And I'm going to play it. And the song being played was made for her. It's about her.
it, brother, she's got it. I never saw another have so much of such and such. Well, she's really not exquisite, but after all, what is it? Lips and eyes. Just like a million others, still what made me fall? Why, it ain't that, and that ain't it. That is that, and it is it, and she's got it. That's all.
Okay, so that was the film that she starred in that made her famous and gave her the nickname the It Girl. Moving forward, I thought I'd discuss the Roaring Twenties to show the time period that Bow lived in. So the 1920s was an age of dramatic social change. The most familiar symbol of the 20s was the new portrayal of women, also referred to as a flapper. A flapper was described as a young woman with bobbed hair, excessive makeup, wore short skirts, drank, smoked, and did very unladylike things. Clara Bow portrayed flappers on the big screen. During this time, women gained the right to vote, work professional jobs, and were allowed to use birth control. Also during the 20s, movie making had become a huge industry. Historians estimate that by 1929, 3/4 of the American population visited a movie theater every week. It was their largest form of entertainment along with the radio. It is reported that in 1928, Bow became the highest paid movie star, earning $35,000 per week. The cinema industry was booming. And keep in mind, that's right before the Great Depression happened too, and Bow was making a pretty good income, especially for a woman. And the main question here is how Clara Bow advanced women's liberation. Bow was considered America's first sex symbol before Marilyn Monroe. She became a symbol of the flapper age, and her bobbed hair look was soon imitated by women all across America. For example, Bow often applied her red lipstick in the shape of a heart, and women imitated this shape, and they were told to be putting a Clara Bow on their mouths. BBC writes, America fell in love with Bow because of her big-eyed, baby-faced beauty, but also because she was a carefree, energetic, self-assured, and breezily independent. Her allure wasn't about being darkly seductive or hauntingly elegant, but about being comfortable in her own skin. Sporting short hair and short dresses, she would stride out and grab whatever and whomever she wanted. She was the archetypal modern woman. Bow started trends and made history. As a matter of fact, she was the #1 film star for nearly a decade. She made higher pay than any other movie star at the time. And she was a woman, to reiterate. Bow also stood for rebellion against the war. In it, Bow played a shop worker asked out on a date by her boss, and to get ready for this date, she cut her dress short with scissors. Her actions in film represented many Americans' feelings in the 20s toward the previous social and political standards. Her actions in film represented... Furthermore, Bow's down-to-earth personality was new to Hollywood. She established a female archetype that is still with us today. Most of Hollywood's actors in the 1920s came from rough backgrounds like Bow's, but with fame and prosperity, they developed upper-class morals, pretending their poverty-stricken childhoods never happened. Hollywood did not like Clara Bow because she was honest. She never hid anything from her horrendous childhood to her gambling problems. The typical working American related to Bow because she had a naturalism many had never seen before. From her appearance, to her body movements, to her facial expressions, to her clothing choices, to her hairstyle, everything about her had a very modern, addicting presence. This is why the American population adored her, and women wanted to be like her. She empowered them, conveying the idea of confidence and individuality. She also brought on the message that no matter what background you come from, you can still be successful and free.